Hello, everyone. My name is Daphne St. Clair Ferguson, and I'm here with some people from Quiltro. If you could you introduce yourselves, your role on the project, and give me a little bit about the show?
I'm Asenia. I'm the director of Quiltro.
I'm Yasmin. I'm the playwright and also co-producer of Quiltro.
So I messed that up. Quiltro. We're actually in a parking garage right now, so we're hearing the door a little bit. But we will continue with the interview. This is on your on the ground in your face theater right here, right now, right? So talk to me a little bit about what Canadian theater is to you, and give me a little bit about the context of that.
I'll take this. Thank you. Canadian theater to me is, I think it's very much like our show and the meaning of our show. So Quiltro is like a Mapudungun word from Chile that means like mixed and mud. And so for me, Canadian theater is exactly that. It's like a mixture of so many different things. It's Indigenous, it's Spanish, it's French, it's East Asian, South Asian, it's everything. And I think you said it best about having like a monolithic identity kind of thing.
I think when we started working on this play, we were trying to describe what it was and what we were trying to do in relation to Canadian theater. And the thing that we kept saying was that we want to challenge the idea that there is a unified Canadian identity, when in reality there's lots of different people that make up Canada. And that's basically what Yasmin was saying, but in some fewer words.
That's great. Fewer words for people like me who need fewer words sometimes, but we've also got smart audience members who will follow the more words. And I was reading your post on the context of this show. Could you talk to me a little bit about how maybe Chile's democracy is reflected in now our present day Canadian democracy?
That's a good question. So I can't say like personally in my experience with Chile's democracy and everything, because I've actually never been there, but my family is Chilean and I've grown up like hearing about the stories and like the political struggles and my own family's experiences as political exiles. And so I think in terms of context and in terms of how it relates to the play, it really it's so hard to describe, because it's just like, what is democracy? Mm-hmm. What does it mean to be a like liberal country? And what does it mean to flee from one place to another in search of the quote unquote dream? Like, what is the dream? Why is it something that we're looking for? And why is it something that we need / want? And how does it happen?
Something else we've been talking about a lot in rehearsal is refugees, and we're looking at people being disappeared by ICE in the United States, and we're seeing how that resonates with this play, and we're looking at how Chileans came to Canada and the word refugee was added to our Immigration Act because that was like as a result of the 1973 Chilean coup. And so it was, I think, 1976 when that word was added. And I think it's important to think about the role that Canada plays in times like this, when there are people who might need somewhere to go.
And that coup, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the other 9/11. So can you talk to me about the importance of why maybe we want to avoid using language, or maybe we want to use language, but the other 9/11, Americans kind of downplaying what that coup was and taking it as almost their own identity. Can you talk to me a bit about that?
Okay. I think something we want to challenge is American cultural hegemony with this story. It's a Canadian story, it's a Chilean story, it's cross-cultural, and when we use words like the other 9/11, we're drawing attention to the fact that culturally America takes up a lot of space and they make a lot of noise, and the things that happen in that country affect people globally. And it's not right, but for Canadians to say like, oh, well, I'm Canadian, so I don't have to worry about that, I think is sort of burying your head in the sand, and we should all be aware of what's happening globally.
Another thing is that, so when I was doing my research and writing the play, I came across that quote quite a lot. And I was very confused because I'm like, why is it called the other 9/11 if it happened in 1973 and 9/11 happened in 2001? And it kind of got me thinking a lot more in terms of like, what does it mean to remember? Because we always hear about 9/11, never forget. And of course, never forget. But it seems that we have forgotten about the quote unquote other 9/11. And so a part of the show is also like, what does it mean to see something and then forget? We see all these things on the news, we see all these tragedies, we see all of these situations that are happening. We're helpless almost, and then we forget. So what do we do with that?
That's great that you're allowing people this space to remember these things, and I'm sure coming along with that, this story will spark other memories for different things and different people. And I also, we're talking now about the American context, but how, and we touched on it briefly, but why is this story important to tell in Canada?
Because there are still people that are affected by the Chilean coup. So people like myself, I'm half Chilean, like I said. My mom was a political refugee. My grandparents were as well. And the idea of the coup itself was not really talked about. It was something that was really hard to talk about as well. And I think when I learned about it, it kind of felt like a part of me was put together to make myself whole, but at the same time, something was missing. So I think it's just important to like remember and know your own lineage, right? And for a lot of other Chilean Canadians, maybe some like myself who are mixtures, who are little Quiltros, or others who have immigrated here, or even Chileans that are still in Chile. Like, it's important for us to not forget, to understand like what the relationships were between Canada and Chile, between America and Chile, imperialism, capitalism, and how it affects us today, because it still does, and it's still very evident.
Beautifully put. Thank you for that response. And so this show, it's about this 13-year-old girl who runs away with these stray dogs. Can you talk to me a little bit about what the stray dogs mean to you? Why stray dogs? Why not another animal or joining other people?
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, a Quiltro is a stray dog, or not specifically a stray dog, but a mutt. And there are a lot of them in Chile and a lot of other Central and South American cities, and they're very, I think they're very beautiful to me. Because one, I love dogs. I have a dog at home. Her name's Layla, and she's actually the cover of the play. So that's her. And I found like the resilience of these dogs, the ability to survive and live at the borders of society, but still like know how to function in society. They know how to cross the street and look for cars. They know how to look at traffic lights, and they get their food and their drinks and water from local stores, and that's how they survive. And for some people, they believe that maybe it's okay for them to be like that, to be in their own community. And I just thought that was really beautiful. So I thought, like, wouldn't it be something if you could just be with them and live on like the margins of society and not have to worry about all of these things about living in capitalism and having to adhere to all of these rules and restrictions that perhaps a 13-year-old who's coming into adulthood, she might not understand. I think they're also a very powerful symbol of resistance and revolution. In the 2011 Chilean student protests, there was this dog, a stray dog. His name was Negro Matapaco, which means black cop killer. And he had a very famous red bandana, and that's how people knew who he was in the streets. So as the students were protesting and as they were getting tear gassed and I guess like beaten by police, Negro Matapacos was there barking and attacking police with them and defending the people throughout. There was also El Vaquito, I think, which is like little cow, because he looked like a little cow. And he also pretty much did the same thing, I think in a later year, in 2017, I think. But there's such powerful symbols of revolution, and I think we can learn a lot from them.
Just briefly, I think it's important to note that the Quiltro are not just strays, they're like generations of strays. And so that's why they're able to live sort of in their own society, and they have their own rules, and they understand traffic lights. And so it's not just someone's dog who ran away from home, it's like a community of dogs that have generationally been fending for themselves. And so it really makes sense that this character would identify with them. Her parents are going through a divorce, and she feels like she doesn't belong, and she sees this sort of society that's free from capitalism and from all of the stuff that oppresses 13-year-olds, and she wants to go be part of it, which I think is really sweet.
Beautifully put. Thank you so much for that insight. Is there anything else that our audiences should know about this show, about you folks, before they step in and see this?
I'll take this one again. Historically, we have a lot of context posts, but one of the most important, I would say, is obviously the 1973 Chilean coup, but part of that is also Salvador Allende's last speech. So Salvador Allende was the president of Chile at the time, the socialist and democratically voted in president. And the CIA-backed military coup were the ones who overthrew him. And what happened was he was telling people over the radio in Chile to stay strong, to fight for freedom, to resist the powers that are taking over. And as he was giving his speech over the radio, the military was bombing the presidential palace that he was in. And with that, he also died. And so this last speech is very, very important for just the idea of freedom and living on the borders and fighting for what you believe in. So if you can always look up his last speech. It is riddled kind of throughout the show, so it's a very important and integral part of Nina, the girl, her journey, but also the journey of understanding what it is to also grow up.
That's what I was going to say.
Beautifully put. Thank you for walking me through that, honestly, journey of history in this brief time we've had together. I've got one more question for you folks, and it's, what do you want to do with your life? I feel like this one was the easiest question, but maybe not. Simple, long, whatever you want.
One of the things I would like to do with my life is make plays. Simply.
I also want to make plays with Asenia. And I also want to get people to feel.
I believe both of you can do that, because I'm feeling things and you're making plays and you're writing together, so you've already accomplished so much, so thank you for that. Thank you both for joining me today. Everyone, make sure to check out Quiltro. You guys are at Soul Pepper TD, is that correct? Yep. Wonderful, so check them out. Thank you so much. This is Daphne St. Clair signing off. Watch the next video. It's pretty cool.
My name is Daphne St. Clair. My name is Daphne St. Clair. My name is Daphne St. Clair. Watch the next video. It's pretty cool. Watch the next video. My name is Daphne St. Clair. My name is Daphne St. Clair. Watch the next video.